This is the video 12 of MEKG video series. In this video, Safe Engineering Watchkeeping topics are discussed. Topic 1: UMS operations.
UMS operations. The watch-keeping rounds at sea for a UMS ship is similar to that of a normal watch ship. There is a UMS checklist which must be filled during takeover and handover of a watch. Watch takeover is done once in 24 hours in the morning between 7 to 8 a.m. Take a round of the engine room half an hour before you take over your watch. Clear any doubts with the outgoing watch engineer. Sign the logbook with the outgoing engineer. During the day, you will be involved in some maintenance jobs, but your priority is watchkeeping. Any alarm is to be attended by you. You have to fill up the engine room logbook before noon. The logbook will be handed over to the chief engineer for his noon calculations. You will unman the engine room during lunchtime. A UMS checklist should be filled out before you leave the engine room. This list is comprehensive and you must fill out honestly. Once satisfied, you can leave the engine room, but not before informing the duty officer on bridge and changing the UMS selector switch from engine control room to your cabin or locations in accommodation where you might go, for instance, the duty mess. Mark the arrow on the switch. The entire ship staff must leave the engine room before you switch to UMS. Remember, the engine room is totally unmanned after the switch to UMS. Any alarm during the unmanned period should be attended by you. After lunchtime, when you are back to the engine room, inform bridge and change the watch selector switch from your cabin or accommodation to engine control room. After the day's work, between 1700 and 1800 hours, the engine room will be unmanned again. You should follow the same procedures you did during lunch break. All the crew is present in the daytime, but the night watch is fully your responsibility. You have to take readings once in the nighttime, preferably around 10 p.m., to ensure all engine room parameters are satisfactory. As you enter the engine room, do not forget to switch on the dead man's alarm. Mark the label Dead Man's Alarm, inform the bridge, and change the watch selector switch from your cabin to engine control room. Take a complete round and check whether you have correctly filled in all the parameters in the logbook. Additionally, ensure that there are no abnormalities like leakages, abnormal noises, or unusual smells. This enables you to take action on time, which will avert disasters. Fill up the logbook and duly sign it. As you fill up, notice if there are any abnormalities between the two readings, afternoon and now. Once satisfied, you can leave the engine room, but not before informing the duty officer on bridge and changing the selector switch from engine control room to your cabin. Any alarm in the nighttime is to be recorded in the logbook with time and action taken to rectify the fault. In case of any doubt during nighttime when you are on a round in the engine room, don't hesitate to call your senior engineer, second, or chief, which calls will be clearly mentioned in the standing orders by chief engineer. Your round next day should begin 1 hour before the other watchkeeper takes over from you. You must hand over amicably to the relieving engineer, explaining the true conditions of all machinery, any abnormalities that you face during your watch, And finally, sign the logbook.
Topic to watchkeeping process at sea.
As a watchkeeping engineer, you are responsible for operations and events happening during your watch. Many disasters are averted by good watchkeeping. At sea watch takeover. Read your chief engineer's standing orders on the first day you join a vessel. This must be referred to in case of any doubt. You should take round of the engine room before you take over the watch from the other duty engineer. It would be a good practice to start your takeover rounds at least half an hour before your watch commences from funnel to tunnel. Keep a pocket diary to note all important parameters of your round, especially the abnormal ones. If you have a company checklist, keep this with you for guidance in case you miss out something. Once you take over the watch, anything that happens is your responsibility. So take over amicably from the duty engineer, discussing with him all the parameters as observed by you during your round. Funnel. Smoke from the funnel will be black, white, or just in a visible condition. What do you think should be the color of smoke? Black smoke indicates unburnt fuel. Blue smoke indicates cylinder oil carryover. White smoke indicates water carryover or excess air. Economizer. Check pressure difference on the manometer. Check leakage of exhaust or steam from soot blowing glands. Why is pressure difference in a manometer of prime importance? It indicates whether the smoke side of the economizer is getting dirty or not. If the pressure difference is low, it means that the economizer is clean. As the pressure difference increases, it means that the economizer is getting dirty and requires cleaning. Check ME expansion tank water level.
Steering gear room.
Check if steering motor amperage is normal. Check for leakages of hydraulic oil from rams, seals and pipes. What would you do if you see a leak past the rams? If hydraulic oil is leaking from the rams, do not attempt to tighten the gland yourself. Inform your senior engineer, second engineer or chief engineer who will decide when to tighten. Improper tightening may increase the leak, which could result in steering failure. Check for tightness of linkages. Check water level and bilges. Check emergency fire pump for water leaks if provided. What if the emergency fire pump gland is leaking? If you find seawater leaking from the gland of the emergency fire pump, tighten the gland but never over-tighten. This will overload the motor while in operation. Check lashings for all drums of oil, paint and chemicals. Why should the drums be lashed? Lashing of drums is very important. Failing to do so could result in oil and chemical spills on the floor during bad weather, which is unsafe for the crew. Boiler platform. Check boiler pressure. Check water level in gauge glass. Check for fuel oil and steam leaks from valves, manholes, burners, etc. Check color of flame if boiler is on fire. Note all values during your checks. You can then compare with the normal values if there are any deviations. Since you have not taken over your watch, you must not attempt to do any adjustments without informing the duty engineer. What would you do if you found a low level in a boiler gauge glass? Please do not attempt anything now. The duty engineer may be blowing down the boiler. Just confirm from the other gauge glass that the level is actually low and inform the duty engineer. Check all fuel oil and lube oil tank levels. Drain water from diesel and fuel tanks. Check lashings of all pipes and drums if fitted on the same platform. Check pressures and temperatures of running machinery like air conditioner, fridge, etc. if fitted. Check oil level through sight glass if provided. Check for frosting on suction line of refrigerating and air conditioning compressors. Cylinder head platform. Check all main engine exhaust and cooling water temperatures. Check for cooling water, fuel, and exhaust leaks all around the cylinder heads. What would you do if the jacket cooling and exhaust temperature of a single unit is higher than the others? Maybe the cooling water valve for that particular unit is throttled, or there is a faulty combustion. In any case, bring it to the attention of the duty engineer. Check the air start pipes to confirm they are not hot. Include an OST. Check the air start pipes. The hot air start pipe indicates a leaking air starting valve. If you find one of the cylinder's air start pipe is hotter than the others, what would you do? Inform the duty engineer immediately and take necessary action. You can prevent an explosion. The pipe carries fuel at high temperature, so just touch to feel the pulse. What do the pressure pulsations in a fuel pipe indicate? The pressure pulsations in the fuel oil high pressure pipes indicate that the fuel pumps are functioning normally. If there are no pulsations found in a particular fuel pipe, then it shows that the fuel injector is not injecting fuel. Listen for any abnormal noise like knocking, surging, etc. Check the main engine turbocharger inlet and outlet exhaust temperatures. The difference between the inlet and outlet temperatures of a turbocharger shows the heat transfer across the turbine blades. A drop of 200 to 250 degrees centigrade is normal. If it is less, then there is insufficient heat transfer across the blades, which would affect the performance of the turbocharger. Check the flow of lube oil in both turbine and blower side bearings and also check their temperatures. Check manometers across turbocharger blower filters. The manometer pressure difference indicates the condition of turbocharger filters. Auxiliary engines. Check oil level in sumps of all three generators. Check exhaust, cooling water and lube oil temperatures of the running generators. Check for abnormalities in temperatures, if any. Check turbocharger bearing oil pressure, inlet and outlet exhaust temperatures. You hear a wheezing noise from the turbocharger blower side. What would you check first? The filter on the blower. This is the first thing to be eliminated since the wheezing noise is mainly because of a dirty filter. A good scavenged air pressure itself is a good indication of the entire combustion process. This ensures that the turbocharger is performing well, and if the turbocharger is performing well, it means that all the units are performing well. Check the auxiliary engine bilges for leakages of oil and water. Check for leakages of fuel from fuel pumps. Check the cooler inlet-outlet temperatures. Check rocker arm lube oil level in the tank. Check for abnormal noise from the engine, mainly from the crankcase and turbocharger. Use a screwdriver pressed onto the crankcase to hear any abnormal noise. Compressors. Check the lube oil in sump. Check the LP and HP stage pressures. Check the flow of cylinder oil through quill if provided. Check for abnormal noise. What would you do if you heard a chattering noise from the cylinder head? You have still not taken over your watch. Stop the compressor and inform the duty engineer. Air bottles. Check bottle pressure. Drain bottles till all the water is removed. Check oil level in gear case of purifiers. Check back pressure of purifiers which are running. Check oil temperatures at inlet to purifiers. Check amperage. Check for abnormal noise. What would you do if you saw a lot of oil flow from the water side glass of a running purifier? Try to rectify the fault or stop the purifier and inform the duty engineer. Sometimes this could be serious, especially if it is lube oil. You could lose a lot of oil in a short time. Freshwater generator. Check salt ppm. Check vacuum. Check through sight glass the evaporation state of water. There should be a fine mist of water spray from the evaporator. Check the inlet-outlet temperatures of jacket water. Main engine lubricator platform. Check flow of oil through all lubricators. Check scavenge temperature. Check pressure drop across air coolers. Check air cooler and seawater temperatures. Bottom platform. All pump seals must be checked for leaks. All pump amperage must be checked. Confirm they are in normal range. Check all double bottom tank soundings. Sump sounding to be checked on high priority. Check level in all bilges. Check reading on MGPS. What would you do if one of the bilges were flooding at a fast rate? Always inform the duty engineer and summon help. The action taken is covered under the topic Emergency Preparedness. Feel the crankcase doors with your hand for any unusual rise in temperature. Listen for any abnormal sound. Control room. Check thoroughly all the readings on the control panel, which include all temperatures, pressures, levels, etc. Check the bus bar for voltage and frequency. Check the running machineries. Finally, check all the readings from the logbook. See that the duty engineer has signed in the logbook for his watch period. Compare those with the readings that you have taken on your rounds. Discuss all abnormalities with the duty engineer. Ask for the work assigned to you. Ensure that your duty motorman has completed his round and ensure that everything is normal. During watch. Though the control room automation monitors all engine room parameters, a physical round every 1 hour will ensure more reliability in terms of watch keeping. Many disasters are averted by good watch keeping. Never hesitate to inform your senior engineer in case you are unable to handle machinery problems. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Most of the major jobs can be attended during off-watch hours. Always ensure someone is present in the control room while you're taking your rounds. Monitoring all the logbook parameters is the first step to good watchkeeping. Any abnormality must be attended immediately, either by yourself or by informing your superiors. It is important to know all engine room system pipelines and valves so that you can isolate a system in case of an emergency. There have been cases of huge fuel oil overflow on main deck because the pump auto-stop float malfunctioned. So, check all fuel oil and lube oil tank levels. Check ME and AE expansion tank water levels. Sump soundings have to be checked on high priority. Check oil level in sumps of all 3 generators. Check the lube oil in sump. Check oil level in gear case. Check the water level in gauge glass. Check the flow of lube oil in both turbine engine and blower side bearings and also check their temperatures. Do not enter any reading that you have not checked or seen yourself. The logbook entry should be actual and genuine at all times. As your relieving engineer comes on watch, be prepared to answer all his queries regarding your watch. Any abnormality in the engine room must be informed to him. You can leave the engine room only when he is satisfied. You could be arriving at a port or departing from a port during your watch. There is a company checklist for both arrival and departure.
The checklist guides you through the complete process of changeovers in VAR, which eliminates problems due to oversight.
Topic 3. Steering Control Systems.
In this media, you will learn about procedure for testing of the steering system. Procedure for testing of the steering system. In the manual mode, first bring the wheel to 15 degrees and check the wheel indicator. It must display 15 degrees and the ship must be turning to port. Take the wheel to midship, and the indicator must display midship, and the ship must really slow down its port turn. Then, bring the wheel to 20 degrees to starboard, and make sure that the indicator displays 20 degrees, and the ship must stop turning to port and begin turning to starboard. This indicated that the ship is actually following the steering orders in the manual mode. In auto mode also, we can test steering system by moving the knob a little bit, in other words a few degrees, to starboard or port. If the ship is responding properly, it indicates that the ship's steering properly in auto mode also. Thus, you have learned about procedure for testing of the steering system.